Hello everyone, this next game I prepared for you is a game played between two magicians. The magician with the white pieces is Rashid Nezhmetdinov and the magician with the black pieces is Mikhail. Now, this game was played in 1961 in the USSR Championship in Baku. And, well, not a lot of you know, but Boris Spassky actually won that event. Well, the only thing people really remember from that event is this game played between Nezhmetdinov and Tal. Now, there's a certain reason I chose this game, even though Nezhmetdinov and Tal played four official games altogether. This is, well, a couple of months after Tal lost his title as a world champion, so this is probably Tal in his prime. And, well, one more thing, out of those four games Tal and Nezhmetdinov played, Nezhmetdinov got the white pieces in all four games, so the result is 3-1 in Nezhmetdinov's favor. But I'm interested in what the result would be if Tal had the white pieces in at least two games. But nevertheless, Tal and Nezhmetdinov were actually very good friends. The first time Tal noticed Nezhmetdinov was in 1957. Well, it was also the USSR Championship. And Mikhail Tal won this event, but Rashid Nezhmetdinov, as Tal says, always gets the brilliancy prize for an event, defeated Mikhail Tal in the 1957 USSR Championship. And this is when him and Tal became really good friends. So, you know, Nezhmetdinov was always hanging around with Tal. He used to come to his apartment, and they used to play blitz games, you know, long into the night and drink some black tea with vodka. And, well, Tal actually decided to take Nezhmetdinov as his second in his championship match against Botvinnik. And although Tal already had a coach for opening preparation in theory, it was his old coach, Alexander Koblenz. But he also took Nezhmetdinov, and, well, a lot of people were baffled by this, because, as they said, Rashid wasn't even a grandmaster. But Tal said that those paradoxes that Rashidov presents him with are of great interest to him, and he thinks they were of great use in his match against Botvinnik. Well, that being said, let's see this game between these two magicians. So, Nezhmetdinov is white and Tal is black. Nezhmetdinov plays e4, Tal goes c5, knight to f3, d6, d4, c captures on d4, knight captures on d4, the Sicilian defense, knight to f6, knight to c3, and now e6. Tal goes for the Scheveningen variation. We have bishop to e2, knight b to d7, Nezhmetdinov castles, Tal plays a6, f4, queen to c7, and now Nezhmetdinov pushes with the g4. So Tal goes b5, preparing to push b4, and Nezhmetdinov prevents it, a3, so we have bishop to b7 by Tal, bishop to f3, protecting that e4 pawn. Tal plays knight to c5, attacking the e4 pawn again, and Nezhmetdinov defends it with queen e2, and now Tal pushes e5. And in this position, Nezhmetdinov plays knight to f5. It looks like a very nice outpost for the knight, and since Tal allowed it, why not play this? So Tal plays g6, and Nezhmetdinov plays f captures on e5 immediately, because now this bishop is hitting the h6 square, and it will be a nice outpost for the knight. And although Tal could capture the knight here with g takes on f5, and then after e captures on f6, f captures on e4, knight captures on e4, well, black would probably have to castle, and white does have an edge in this position. So Tal didn't want to go for this, and since Tal also loves magic, Tal played d captures on e5. So Nezhmetdinov plays knight to h6, and this pretty much prevents black from ever castling kingside. So Tal plays knight to e6, we have bishop to g2 from Nezhmetdinov, bishop to g7, and this is where Nezhmetdinov launches one of the greatest combinations and wins a brilliancy prize for this game. Nezhmetdinov plays rook captures on f6. And, well, there's really nothing to do here except, well, take the rook. So Nezhmetdinov plays bishop captures on f6. And now Nezhmetdinov plays knight d5. And, well, you can't really capture the knight, because if bishop captures knight, you would get e captures on d5, and after this knight moves, well, this d6 move would be crushing. So on knight d5, Tal plays queen to d8, protecting this bishop on f6. But now Nezhmetdinov plays queen to f2. And now Nezhmetdinov is hitting that f6 bishop twice. And, well, the bishop can't really move because he's also attacking f7 if the bishop moves. So there's really not a lot of things Tal can do here. Maybe you think that Tal can capture the knight on d5, but this is actually what happens if the knight is captured. You would get bishop captures on d5, e captures on d5, knight to f4, bishop captures on f4, e captures on f4, and queen c5. And if you look at this position, the white rook is ready to come to e1 with check. This is quite devastating. So after queen to f2, Mikhail Tal tries knight to f4 immediately. So Nezhmetdinov captures, bishop captures on f4, e captures on f4, and now Nezhmetdinov continues his initiative with e5. And in this position you might also get an idea that, well, why not capture the knight now? And if you did so, well, if bishop captures on d5, then simply e captures on f6. And, well, there's really nothing black can do here. For you see, if, for example, black would play bishop captures here, then, well, what are you going to do after queen c5? I mean, this rook to e1 check is unstoppable. So in this position, there's really nothing to do. Black would simply have to capture this pawn on f6 and drop this bishop on d5. So after e5, Tal decided to play bishop captures on e5. And Nezhmetdinov plays rook to e1, attacking the pin piece. So we have f6 by Tal. And now Nezhmetdinov plays knight captures on f6 with check. So the bishop cannot capture because it's pinned, and well, it's checked, so Tal plays queen captures on f6. And here Tal plays queen to d4. And well, again, you may think that, well, okay, why not capture the bishop now? But let's see what happens if you capture the bishop now. If bishop captures on g2, then rook to e5 check, king to f8, and now this g5 move would be crushing. The black queen cannot defend the f4 pawn anymore, and wherever the black queen goes, well, queen captures on f4 with check will lead to mate in next move. So on queen d4, Tal played king to f8. And in this position, Rashid played rook captures on e5. We have queen to d8, trying to exchange queens. And now another beautiful move by Nezhmetdinov. Nezhmetdinov plays rook to f5 check, and opens up the attack on this rook on h8. So Tal has to capture, g captures on f5, and now queen captures on h8. We have king to e7, queen to g7 check, Tal plays king to e6, and Nezhmetdinov plays g captures on f5 with check. And in this position, Mikhail Tal resigned because, well, there's really nothing to do here. It's forced mate in 8, but well, analyzing it wouldn't really make sense, because after g captures on f5, king to d6, you'd get knight to f7 check, and this already pins the king and the queen, and well, you can do the rest by yourself if you really want to. So yeah, a very nice game between two magicians, and a very nice, all of the games between these two players were great, and even though Nezhmetdinov won the 3 games and Mikhail Tal won only 1, like I said, I would be very interested to see how things would go if Tal had the white pieces. And one other thing I would really like to see is those blitz games they were playing, if someone actually kept note of the games. And yeah, after Rashid's death, Mikhail Tal was very sad, and well, he wrote in his obituary that Tal was very glad that Nezhmetdinov chose Latvia, the place to play his last tournament. And he didn't win the tournament. Nezhmetdinov won a 3rd place, but as always, he took the Brilliancy Prize with him. But I will put the entire letter of the obituary in the description below, so you can read Tal's words about Rashid. So yeah, this is the game. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon.